Toyota, Ford, and Jeep should be terrified right now because GM just leaked details on the Hummer H4 that could make it the most dominant SUV of the decade. This isn't a mild refresh. This is a full-blown assault on the luxury off-road segment, and the numbers being thrown around are almost hard to believe. But before we break down every detail, I need to tell you something. There's one hidden decision buried deep in the H4's engineering that early insiders are calling a massive gamble. Something that could either make this the smartest SUV GM has ever built, or the biggest miscalculation of the electric era. I'm saving that for the end, so stay with me because you do not want to miss it. Let's start with what GM is actually building here. The H4 is rumored to sit on an entirely new dedicated platform, separate from the outgoing Hummer EV pickup and SUV. Power estimates are staggering, with top trims potentially crossing the 1,000 horsepower mark, and a 0 to 60 time hovering around 3 seconds flat. For context, that puts a 5,000-pound off-road SUV in the same performance bracket as a Porsche 911. Range is where it gets even more interesting. Multiple sources suggest GM is targeting over 420 miles on a single charge, which would make the H4 the longest-range Hummer ever produced, and one of the longest-range SUVs in America, period. Now here's where GM seems to be flexing hardest, the platform. Engineers are reportedly leaning on an evolved version of the Ultium Max architecture, the same next-generation system expected to underpin future Cadillac and GMC flagship models. That means faster charging speeds, potentially north of 350 kilowatts, and a more efficient battery pack that's lighter despite offering more capacity. If these numbers hold up in production, GM isn't just competing with Rivian and Ford anymore. They're going head-to-head with Range Rover, Escalade IQ, and even entry-level performance EVs. Quick pause, because if you're the kind of person who wants to know about vehicles like this before they officially launch, this is exactly the channel for you. Hit subscribe and tap that like button right now, because we're constantly digging up leaked specs and insider details other channels won't touch until months later. Okay, let's keep going, because the design details are just wild. Spy photography from testing routes in Michigan and Arizona show a much more aggressive stance than the outgoing model. Think wider fenders, a squared-off hood line, and a front fascia dominated by a full-width LED light bar that seems designed to intimidate everything else on the road. Ground clearance is expected to increase significantly, with adjustable air suspension allowing the H4 to raise itself for serious rock crawling, then drop down for a smoother, more efficient highway ride. Off-road specific features are also rumored, including reinforced skid plates, a raised air intake system for water fording, and Hummer's signature removable roof panels, making a return for an open-air experience nothing else in this segment offers. Inside the cabin, expect a tech-heavy environment built around a massive dual-screen setup, potentially stretching past 30 inches combined. GM's next-generation Super Cruise is expected to expand hands-free driving to significantly more roads across the country, putting real pressure on Tesla's full self-driving claims. Materials are rumored to lean heavily into sustainable leather alternatives and recycled aluminum trim, positioning the H4 as not just powerful, but environmentally conscious, at least on paper. Then there's pricing, and this is where things get controversial. Early estimates place the base H4 starting somewhere around $98,000, with fully loaded trims potentially crossing $120,000. That's an aggressive price point, especially when you consider it's competing directly against vehicles, with decades of luxury brand equity behind them. GM is clearly betting that raw specs and nostalgia can outweigh badge prestige. But that's a massive gamble in a market where buyers are becoming more selective than ever. Production timelines suggest assembly will begin in late 2026, with customer deliveries rolling out through early 2027, matching perfectly with the model year naming. Given how limited initial Hummer EV production numbers were, expect serious demand outpacing supply in the first 12 months, which historically drives resale prices well above MSRP for early builds. So here's that gamble I mentioned. Sources close to the program claim GM is exploring a shorter battery degradation warranty, specifically tied to aggressive off-road and performance use. something well below the industry standard 8-year benchmark most EV buyers now expect. For a vehicle priced past 6 figures, that detail alone could completely reshape buyer confidence. Is GM prioritizing raw performance over long-term reliability? Let me know exactly what you think down in the comments, because this debate is only just getting started.